Hey guys, it is me, Tanya, founder of the TNG Designs Group Limited. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about how to brand your logo, okay? Now, yes, this is most definitely something that you should definitely consider, not only consider, but actually do, and not only do, make sure that you action as well. Specifically because if you want to make sure that your brand is building the awareness or of what it is that you're doing, equally, you're getting yourself out there to be able to make sure that others actually understand what it is that you're doing, well then yeah, you definitely need to consider these things that I'm about to share with you, specifically to increase and encourage and empower that growth that you're going to be having off the back of doing these things. Now, before you get stuck in this video, make sure that you go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel, because as always, I want to make sure that, you know what, as many people as possible are really getting to grips as to what it is that I'm sharing about branding, logo design, and equally ways to make sure that you boost the awareness as to what it is that you do and why it is that you do it, so that others get in on the action, so they understand who you are, finally, right? And more specifically, folks, I want to make sure that you're actually standing out above your competition, and there are many ways to be able to do that, and this specifically is one way of being able to do it, by addressing your branding, by addressing these key points I'm about to share with you in terms of like how to make sure you brand your logo in a way that's congruent to you, your beliefs, and what it is that you do, and equally why it is that you do it. So make sure you stick around to the very end of this video as well, because as always, got a super cool gift to be able to share with you. And without further ado, folks, let's get stuck into this video. So okay, as I shared with you, we are going to be talking about how to brand your logo. Now, there are three things in particular that I want to make sure that you are considering when it comes to branding your logo. Specifically because if you want to make sure that your logo is doing the job that it actually should be doing, and yes, it does carry a very key function in spite of how small it actually is, it carries and packs one hell of a bit of a power to be able to make sure that it drives home the message as to what it is that you're doing, and again, why it is that you're doing it. Okay, so the first thing that I want you to consider, as always, I'm pretty sure you're going to guess what it is, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It's the idea of your VPV. Consider your VPV. Consider your values, consider your purpose, consider your vision. Now, here's why you need to make sure that you're doing it. Specifically, it all boils down to the fact that if you are not addressing your VPV, even from this point, right? If you are not addressing it, well, that's when you start getting logos to start mix matching as to the idea as what it is that you're doing. And that's when you start creating confusion. And as we all know, confused people start walking away, turning away. They get a bit jarred by whatever it is going on because they don't understand it. We want to create clarity. We want to create a non-confusion kind of a stance from the get-go by addressing your VPV. Your VPV, even at this point, will also help to establish what your form should be, what your style, the look and feel of your logo should actually be. It should also help you to understand the type of colors, your tone of voice, and the simplicity as to what your logo should actually look like. The wording that you're using with your logo, maybe even your business name, all the way through to your strap or your tagline as well. Now, coming up with your strap or tagline, I do actually have a few videos on that, and I will actually share a little key card somewhere around here to be able to understand what it is that you need to be able to do to get a really cool tagline or strapline that is congruent to what it is that you're standing for. But for the purpose of right here, right now, in terms of like branding your logo, you need to make sure that when your VPV comes into play, you do the due diligence that it deserves in order to be able to understand what that is for yourself. Because once again, if you don't, well, simply it's the difference between you continuously playing a little bit small, but maybe even getting drowned out by the noise as to what your competition is doing, versus you actually standing taller, standing out, and standing with a great stance that actually makes more sense to you. Because now you know how to talk about yourself. Now you know how to create that level of awareness that really resonates and hits home with all those who are actually coming across your path. And your logo, as I shared with you a minute ago, yes, it may be small, but it carries one hell of a powerful punch, especially when it gets put out there to the masses, because sometimes it actually is the first thing people see before actually getting to meet you. So even at that point, it needs to have a good source of representation for you in order to be able to then start bringing people along following you on your journey. It's a little invitation. Remember when I described the idea of what branding actually is and how, in comparison to what the logo is? Your logo is the doorway to your house, right? Branding is what makes your house become a home. So essentially it's all the intricacies, all the details, all the finer elements that makes you, your beliefs and what they are stand out in the way that they should stand out. The colors, the words, the terminology, all of that kind of stuff comes from your brand. So there we go. So first thing to consider, as I shared with you, is VPV. The next thing off the back of all of that is now considering the relevance. So what do I even mean by that? When I'm talking about the relevance is how relevant to all of what you've discovered in your VPV for your logo, right? Establishing the foundation of your brand, all that kind of stuff. How relevant is it now to what it is that you actually do? Does the name make sense? Does your strapline, your tagline make sense? Do all the colors make sense? Does the look and feel of it make sense? Is it relevant to what it is that you're doing, and equally why it is that you're doing? Now, don't get me wrong, even at this stage, right, where I shared with you, sometimes you can have logos that might have a little personable touch to you, or maybe they have a personable feel to your past, to all things that relate to who you are as a person. And naturally, as business owners, you are the ones who are creating your business. So specifically, yes, there's going to have a little personal element to it, right? And that can definitely be the case for the look and feel of your logo. But now what you've got to make sure that you do is within the wording, within what it is that it stands for, that part now becomes relevant to your audience. Because at the end of the day, they're the ones who are actually going to be seeing it first from the get-go before actually you getting to see, before they actually get to see you. So meaning you don't get to explain it. You don't get to talk about, oh, this logo means X, Y, and Z. And yeah, just because it doesn't quite say in the name, this is exactly what it means. You don't always get that chance. So why not let the logo do the talking for you? As I said, it's a source of representation that people get to see first before actually getting to meet you. So help them to understand it. Help them along that journey once again. So the third thing that I'd like you to actually consider is the idea of application. Now, what I mean by application, I'm talking about think of all the different contexts or the different scenarios that your logo will be viewed in. When it comes to branding your logo, you need to think about application. You need to think about VPV. You need to think about all these other aspects as well, especially when it comes to the relevance of it, right? And actually relevance when it comes to the idea of application, they tie in quite nicely. Now, when I'm talking about the idea of application, what I mean by that is, what does it look like on a t-shirt? What does your logo look like on a baseball cap? What does your logo look like projected behind you? What does your logo look like on a roller banner, a poster, a flyer, a website? What does your logo look like in all of those contexts? Because the branding of your logo will matter, and the branding of your logo will be super specific when it comes to the consistency of being correct along all of those different formats. And yes, it does matter once again, because I mentioned it just a minute ago, the idea of consistency. The look and feel of it builds on the idea as to who it is that you are. It equally builds on your reputation. If you can remain consistent in the colors, in the styling, in the flow of what it is that you're saying, the message that you're putting out there, the values that you're resonating with, simply by way of your logo, it makes all the difference to all those who are now coming and following along with you. Because again, if they start being jarred by things that just don't make sense, well, then that journey becomes all the more trickier for them. Meaning that they start pulling away, they lose interest, they detract from what it is that you're doing. They don't want to know anymore. But if you create that level of consistency that allows that consistent flow, smoother journey, even more so, well then yeah, they're going to want to stick with you. They want to find out more. So help them to find out more. Help them to understand that even at this point of the logo, them seeing that logo, that point of reference, it's clear to them what it is that you do and why it is that you do it as they keep going to find out even more about yourself. So consider your VPV, consider the relevance, and consider the application. Those three key things right there will help you to understand how to brand your logo. When you consider all those things, not only do you understand how to brand your logo, but then you also start considering or even understanding how to then boost the awareness of what it is that you're doing, why it is that you do it, and more importantly, you start beginning to make better connections. And those better connections, what do they lead to? Well, they lead to growth. They lead to the understanding of word of mouth, meaning that other people they're going to be telling about to help you to keep growing even further. So think about that, folks. And speaking of growth, make sure that you tap into this resource that I have. And it's a super cool resource to be able to elevate your brand even more. Now, even by the building of your logo, the creation of your logo, even at that point, these principles that I'll be sharing with you in this specific resource will help you to be able to establish how things should look, why they should look it, but even more make sense or relevant or have a sense of relevance to you. Because when it has a sense of relevance to you, it then will have a sense of relevance to everybody else that actually gets to see it, even before actually getting to meet you. Build on those better connections. Make sure that you are standing out by tapping into these key principles. And equally, make sure that you are creating something or presenting something that makes sense to the masses of all those you are getting to speak to, even by way of your logo. So go ahead and check it out. Click on the link that's in the description box below. Enter just a couple of details. And then once you do that, I'm going to fire over to you these key points that will help you to elevate your brand even more so, and all that comes from it. So your logo, your website, any flyers that you're creating, anything that you're promoting off the back of rebranding yourself or off the back of building your brand in general, anything that comes from you will now make sense because you're creating that consistency. So, folks, go ahead and get that information, tap into that resource, build and boost your brand as much as you can so that you can start getting noticed even more so, and equally start building the awareness as to what it is that you do and why it is that you do it specifically. So folks, I'm going to leave it there. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you on the other side.